MedBix webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live program.
Eh, welcome to the MedBix webcast. This is Ramana Raju. Let me turn off the music a little bit. Okay. So, welcome to the MedBix webcast. This is Ramana Raju. I'm the host. So, I'm not Albert Einstein. The doctor who is coming probably is Albert Einstein, equivalent of Albert Einstein. So, we have a program on Thursday. Today, I'm doing a special program again. I'm going to talk with one of the distinguished pathologists in the professor of pathology, and then after that, I'm going to present a topic on positron emission tomography machine, the physics behind it. What is that? Who are these equation? The most beautiful equation in medicine, which created the PET scan. So that I'm going to talk about that after the talking with our doctor. Let me introduce you, Dr. Krishna Tangella is a professor of pathology in the University of Urbana-Champaign, and then close friend. Is a great friend of mine, and then he is from the neck of my woods back home, but he is a very well respected professor, private practice, thriving private practice. He works in a Christie clinic, and he is one of the leaders in the pathology profession. So let me bring him on the stage. Dr. Tangella, welcome to the MedBix webcast.
Thank you, Ramana, for having me, and thank you for the kind words.
So tell me something background of yours a little bit. If I miss anything, you have a long background. Just if you can give me very quick background of yours.
Sure. So I did my medical school training in India, and and after when I was around 22 years old, I came after finishing my medical school in India to U.S. to University of Arizona to do my graduate work in microbiology immunology, and I was interested in immunology and immunotherapies, which is a pretty big deal these days. And I did that graduate research work for about 3.5 years, and and ended up that led me to being a pathology resident at University of Arizona um, College of Medicine, and I did that. Finished my residency there. I spent my fourth year during my residency as clinical fellow, clinical research fellow, which was a very fun time for me. And then ended up um, in a private practice in Champaign, Urbana, which is the flagship uh, city for University of Illinois. And then I did my MBA at Northwestern University at Kellogg School of Business Management from 2005 to 2007 after I passed my pathology boards. And I had a young family back then, and it was a lot of back and forth. Practice was busy, doing MBA was very busy. And then I built my practice up and got into medical administration. And as that path went along, my classmates from my MBA school at Northwestern kind of invited me and kind of coached me and um, helped me participate in some of the ventures they were doing, startups. And you can imagine what kind of economic situation it was in 2007, 2008. But nevertheless, we were bold enough and brave enough to start such uh, ventures. And so we started technology companies, healthcare technology companies, um, and it's been an entrepreneurial journey since then.
Yeah.
But the practice has been thriving, you know, and it's been a fun journey so far. I teach at the I teach at the medical school at University of Illinois, and now I'm a faculty member at newly established called Illinois Medical School, which is probably the world's first engineering medical school. It's a 5-year program where the students get
Oh.
they get a MD plus a master's in engineering. So they take students from engineering background, and they want to. The idea is to create technology physicians, uh, so we can advance science that way.
Oh.
Innovative idea. It's a beautiful program. I'm a full professor there. I met some of the students there, and they're absolutely brilliant, brilliant. Um, and
Yeah. Very good.
and of course, about 8 9 years ago, I started a company called DoveMed. That is a health technology company that helps bring patients and physicians together.
You
So
know
it's
that. Yeah. Go ahead.
good. So I've had management experience in a multi-specialty private practice. I have hospital experience in management. I've been the president of the medical staff. I've run multiple laboratories as medical directors for you know long time. I still do, and the clinical practice, of course, is very busy. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that keeps my life pretty fun.
Yeah. That's. Let me let me just playing with the camera. Oh, that's interesting that you have an engineering school with a medicine. First time I saw that, that's going to be the future. I'm a fan of that kind of fields. I'm a engineering, and I'm a physicist by profession, but I don't practice physics, but entrepreneurial journey. But I came from that background. Doctor, so everybody knows what is a pathologist. The background is we send the blood or we send some tissue sample, you read it, and although you get we send the results by fax or by online now. That's all we know. What is exactly pathologists do, Doctor Dr. Tangella?
So, so the way when I ask people, students and young people who are pre-meds, so what do you think pathology is? And the first thing that comes to their mind is CSI, you know, and that's a field of forensic pathology, and which is a pretty interesting field by itself. But that's done that kind of pathology work is done by um, for pathologists who are trained to be forensic pathologists. Uh, Pathology is a uh, branch of medicine that has a very varied and broad scope of medical practice. Um, as a pathologist, we are primarily diagnosticians. Uh, we diagnose cancers. Anytime a tissue is taken out of human body, it is sent to laboratory for pathological examination. We diagnose leukemias, lymphomas, um, and that's the diagnostic work. We also do, help during fine needle aspirations of lumps and bumps, during CT guided biopsies of masses in liver, lung, pancreas, kidney, wherever it's reachable by a needle localization uh, radiological imaging techniques. We are we are there to assist the radiologist. There are some pathologists actually who actually do fine needle aspirations themselves of thyroid and breasts using ultrasound techniques. Um, there's pathologists who actually perform bone marrow biopsies also themselves, and so that's the diagnostic work. There's also a lot of, um, I would say, management work involved. Every hospital, every clinic has a laboratory that is pretty regulated by uh, CMS, um, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and under uh, those criterias regulations called CLIA 88, many laboratories in the country are standardized in their operations and also in quality. Um, so that's the management part of it. Every hospital, every clinic has a lab. A pathologist usually manages it, make sure the diagnosis is accurate, make sure the laboratory instruments, which are extremely complicated, have reliable reliable um, testing. So that's the diagnostic part. Of course, when there is a sudden death or a death that perplexes our physician's colleague, they would request pathologists to perform an autopsy. So that's also a part of pathologist's role. Um, so it's a very broad field, and one of the I like the area of clinical pathology called blood banking, where anytime a blood is transfused to a patient, it's the pathologist's responsibility to make sure safe blood is given and make sure that the blood is compatible. And in case of minor reactions, the pathologist troubleshoots the situation to make sure that nothing uh, major mistakes were made, which usually don't happen. Um, so, blood banking is a pretty interesting field of pathology, also. So, pathology has two fields: anatomic pathology, which is diagnostic work, and clinical pathology. Um, Having said that, a lot of pathologists have gone into research, so that also is a field where pathologists lead um, clinical research a lot. Basic sciences, bench research. There are so many pathologists who have won Nobel prizes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Dr. Tangella, one you mentioned, is interesting. I didn't know that pathologists see actually patients. You were saying that they do guided biopsy. So another thing I wanted to ask you, that you play, we are, I think it's something, yeah, you play guided, so guided biopsies you do, and also very important thing I wanted to ask you, the role of the cancer, the pathologist, the role of pathologist in cancer detection. Let us go further a little bit into it. Cancer diagnosis, and what kind of role you play in particularly in cancer diagnostics, and 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 treatment protocols, and then progression of the treatment itself. What kind of role do the pathologists play? People don't know pathologists play a very critical role even in the progression of and the prognosis side of the cancer. So could you please explain a little bit the diagnostic and prognosis side of the cancer treatment, a pathologist role?
Sure. So as the medicine has advanced rapidly in the last 20 years, 25 years, into a personalized medicine, pathologists have been in the forefront of that development. We not only diagnose cancers, um, we also classify them histologically, and now in the recent past, we have started giving a lot of critical data for the oncologist and the radiation oncologist to um, help guide treatment protocols for the patients. A pathologist, through their reports, are able to give information about the type of cancer it is. They're able to give um, prognostic markers, how bad this cancer is. So, and then we're also able to give some predictive markers, Ramana, where we are able to analyze the cancer cells and help the oncologist make decision to which chemotherapy or which treatments can be given, and more importantly, which chemotherapy or treatment should be avoided because the tumor may not respond to those. So this is predictive markers, as we call it. This has been a huge development in recent advances in pathology practice, and we pathologists are at the forefront of cancer diagnostics, and we are also in the forefront of cancer therapeutics, as we call it. So our oncologists rely very heavily on us to give them the data, and that In addition to that, Ramana, you probably understand that every cancer has its own um, pathway why it became cancer. So, molecular studies to understand the biology of cancer and detect potential targets for therapy are also done under the guidance and oversight of the pathologist. Um, so I am, in at the time of point in medicine where uh, such rapid advances are happening in personalized medicine. This is just not only just oncology, cancer, but also there are so many other conditions, degenerative diseases, uh, you know, uh, you know, there are diseases that are caused by deposits of amyloid and Alzheimer's and all that. The pathologists play a critical role in that diagnosis.
A very interesting point you made. Not only, pathologists are two directors of the movie, I think, here, behind the scenes directors. Um, that you're saying that, just to give a couple of sentences about that other areas, Alzheimer's, prognosis of the Alzheimer's, and then the diagnostic side of it. Because the imaging itself is not giving too much information about particularly Alzheimer's and other areas, certain degenerative diseases. Pathologists can contribute quite a bit in that direction. Is that, am I
Sure. I
saying
mean,
right?
like most of the diseases have origin in the genetics. Um, Either the genes are wrong, or if the genes make some proteins, the proteins are wrong. If proteins are made right, the way the body interacts with the protein is wrong. So there are so many areas where the disease can occur, and pathologists can recognize those steps of how a disease occurs and diagnose which pathway has been affected. Is it like a bad gene, or is it a bad protein, or is it a bad protein interacting with a bad receptor? Um, so so this can happen in a variety of diseases and disorders, not just cancers, but it can occur in Alzheimer's, it can occur in cystic fibrosis, it can occur in rheumatoid arthritis. um, there's a condition called amyloidosis. um, so there's so many scenarios where the pathologist can help understand the biologic mechanism of why a condition occurred, and we have tests for those, and we help the clinician interpret those tests also. Not And of course we are the ones who actually develop those tests, make sure they're valid, make sure they are reliable and accurate.
Beautifully explained. Now I'm in the center of Silicon Valley, center of Silicon Valley side of it. And then, the AI is a big talk here. Everybody talks about AI, from high school kids to professors are talking about AI, artificial intelligence. What is the role? Is there any role AI is playing, or is going to play in the pathology?
100% yes. In my opinion, AI is going to revolutionize practice of pathology in multiple different ways. We are seeing just the tip of the iceberg right now. Pathology is a big data science field where there is a tremendous amount of molecular data being accumulated. There's a lot of cancer genetic data that's being accumulated. AI can help us detect certain patterns and pathways of why cancer is caused. Um, that's one area that's very, very exciting. They can also help using those techniques. It can also help uh, recommend molecules as the type of molecules that's necessary to block the bad gene from operating, or correcting a bad gene. That's another way in which AI can work. The third way AI can work is look for patterns. For example, if the machines are running, it can detect predictively if machine is going to break down, or if it's the machine is slowly getting degraded, if you want to call it, in its analytical capabilities. So early intervention can be performed. Um, So
That's
a
quite
lot.
interesting. That is a quite interesting. It analyzes the pathology machines. It's a very interesting concept that you were talking about. Right?
Yeah, it can do an online. It can do a real-time failure mode analysis, in the background, and constantly check for data points to predict machine failure. And instead of getting surprised, we can get alerts and do preventative maintenance as required.
With all the background you have, being a professor, being a pathologist full time, so busy. Tell me that you went through entrepreneurial journey. So you started a company called DovMed. Tell us what does a DovMed do and what is a DovMed's functions are.
Thanks for asking about DoveMed. DoveMed is kind of my little passion right now. Uh, so, DoveMed is a healthcare technology platform that helps bring patients and healthcare providers together. So, we have built a number of uh, applications or products on DoveMed platform that are interoperable and interactive with each other, where physicians and patients who, especially patients who are trying to reach the right kind of doctor in your local area, uh, can get that connection, suggested on DoveMed. GovMed also has forums where you can discuss healthcare options in your community. We have a product called My Circles that help patients with chronic conditions find other patients with chronic condition and seek support, learn from them, understand what worked, what doesn't work, and find out new treatment options that are currently available from modern science, um, and reach out to local clinics. And if the audience is interested in supporting certain non-for-profit causes that are healthcare related, they can go to DoveMed and reach out to the non-for-profit and support their loved ones or their missions in life. Um, we also have Ask a Doctor platform where patients can ask general question, not very specific, general questions about medicine, and one of our doctors on our panels would answer a general answer as to what the question is. So we don't give specific medical advice because that will be practice of medicine on our Ask a Doctor platform, but definitely can ask general questions. We also have discussion forums that are available only for physicians and advanced healthcare practitioners. Um, so they're called Dove Hubs. So they can come in a very safe and secured environment without getting disturbed by other, audiences. The physicians and healthcare providers can interact with each other. Uh, and we are just about to launch a product, Ramana, very excited about it, called Dove University, which will be a teaching platform for students and physicians. Physicians can earn their CMEs. Students can take their USMLE exams, preparation courses there. Pre-med students can, take their biology uh, prep courses there. Um, then, if you have a phlebotomist who wants to certify in um, phlebotomy certification, um, they can come and take their learning material there and take the prep exams. Nurses, of course, have to take their NCLEX exam to pass nursing. So we'll have modules and tutorials for them. So I'm very, very excited about this health education component where the healthcare providers and healthcare students can come and learn and earn their certifications needed to practice medicine in their life.
Congratulations! That's a great addition to the your DovMed.
Very excited
DovMed
about it.
University is a badly needed. Actually, there's a lot of phlebotomists and in physicians can learn CME. Phlebotomists can get license. There's a huge demand for phlebotomists in the country. That's you're fulfilling a gap. One more thing, I do as you know, congratulations on all of your accomplishments. Yeah, I pulled you out of your busy day. Yeah, I wanted to ask you a final question is that I do present a lot of different topics on my program. Do you, what is your impression, and what is, I do, from some of the devices to what are the historical aspect of that to present day. So do you watch on time to time you're watching? What is your impression on those?
So I have watched a number of your podcasts, and I find them very helpful, very insightful. You are extremely intelligent and have a very curious mind. You provoke your speakers on your program into with very thought-provoking questions, and and you have the ability to explain some of the complex physics problems in a very easy to understand manner. um, I salute you for that, because that's not very easy to do, and especially when I hear quantum mechanics from you, and PET scans, and all the nuclear physics, and you know those are pretty esoteric topics, but you help the audience understand in a very easy manner. The only way you can do it is if you understand it extremely well, which I'm positive you do. That's why you're able to kind of explain it very easily. Thank you
Thank you,
for
sir.
doing what you're doing, and keeping everybody educated, and especially keeping the curious mind curious.
Thank you. It's a truly an honor to coming from you. Thank you so much, Dr. Krishna Tangella, coming on this one. Congratulations on your DOMED accomplishments. And then DOMED, we are all looking forward to the DOMED University. And thank you. Congratulations. It's truly an honor and privilege to have you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye
I'm
bye.
going to do, guys, that I'm presenting my topic. He's busy. He's going to watch on offline. He's going to watch our program. But thank you. But I'm going to present my topic with. I have a colleague, Rastafa. He's going to join with us, and he's a PhD in neuroscience, and is a very honor to have him. Rastafa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
Thank you so much. Sometimes, so you can be my guest watching, along with them. You're my co-host and guest watching, so you can watch my program today. So I'm going to present this one. Rastafa is a PhD in. What is your background, Rastafa? Just give me some background of yours.
So, yes, I studied traumatic brain injury. I started out at Penn State University, Hershey Medical Center, and I got my master's degree looking at, I learned perinatal hypoxia ischemia from actually Dr. Susan and Robert Vanucci, who invented the technique, and that's looking at asphyxia through childbirth. I went on from there. I stayed at Penn State University and actually joined another lab, Dr. Patricia Grigson. And there I studied conditioned taste aversion and some learning, different learning paradigms, and also mapped out some areas of the taste pathway and how information is processed through the taste pathway dependent on the condition. So if it's like food poisoning versus something that's known as the dessert effect or anticipatory contrast effect. So when you
Very good.
anticipate something good to come along, you actually consume less of the initial meal. But the same decreased consumption happens if during food poisoning. So what I was able to demonstrate that when you process the taste information, it either goes dorsally through the dorsal taste pathway if it's a positive condition, but that same information will go ventrally to the central amygdala if it's an aversive condition. So that was really, really cool and interesting. And
We
that
will
also,
talk one day. We will talk deep into
yes,
deep that
yes,
topic one day,
yes.
very clear. One of the things that you're showing my T-shirt, the background is that is actually the gentleman is from my hometown. That gentleman in the middle. That if you can bend, I can show you a little bit. Yeah, that gentleman, Dr. Subbarao, is invented of a methotrexate. That is a methotrexate is a first chemotherapy targeted drug. Thank you, and you can be watching along with me to this one, and you can turn off the microphone. It's a little bit choppy for things, but you will be watching my presentation along with me. Okay, so let me
Thank you.
bring my presentation now. This is what is a yeah. So he is going to the I'm going to he is going to listen to my presentation. Both we are going to yeah. What happened? Yeah, correct. So I'm going to talk about today the most beautiful equation in medicine. It is the unnoticed death of a remarkable University of Florida. You know, Doctor is talking about Doctor Tangella is talking about engineering and medicine. He is the best person for that. He is the probably genesis of engineering and medicine in my view. So let me talk about the gentleman in the past. So it's coming of a slow little bit. I don't know why. Yeah. So actually, it starts at the beginning of the universe itself. It is the let me talk about the story. It starts at the beginning of the universe. When the universe started, splitting into two feet, it equally produced in the during the Big Bang. This at least the belief of that scientist is that it produced the equal amounts of the matter and antimatter. So matter and antimatter are two and exactly opposite and complementary, but they when they separated each other but separate each other apart. We don't know where the antimatter is gone. We don't understand it. So, but that is still a puzzling question in the physics. So the antimatter is disappeared, but matter is there. So that's what you and me we're all made up of matter. So it is like it is like a evil twin is the evil twin is on the other side. If you meet them, it's like you're seeing an object in the mirror. You're seeing somebody in the mirror, but if you meet them, the person in the mirror, the whole thing blow up. So matter and antimatter cannot be. It is only it starts annihilation, and it follows the Einstein's principle of E equals mc square. So you don't want to meet your evil twin or your antimatter itself. Maybe there's universe exactly in antimatter like us, that you be there in the antimatter itself is with the I tell you what is antimatter is in a minute, but that is what it does. So antimatter and a matter are two splitting universes. We don't know where the antimatter is gone, so we are looking for the address of the antimatter. But so what is an antimatter? Antimatter is a proton. So in the matter, proton is in the middle, is a positively charged proton in the middle, and the hydrogen electron is in just at least in the classical picture I'm going to show just to explain to that. But it's not exactly that where the locations how they describe in the quantum physics, but it's a in the electron moves around the proton. In the antimatter, the proton is negatively charged. Same, stays in the same in the center, but it's negatively charged, and the electron is positively charged. So it moves around. So the antimatter is exactly complementary charges. It swaps the charges. That's what it is. So proton becomes a negatively charged, and the electron is a positively charged. So that is a antimatter. So you never mix them together. It doesn't. It blows up. That is a problem. So, but there's a not only problem, there's advantage. I'm going to show you what is advantage is it creates in the medical field. So what antimatter every day you can see actually we experience an antimatter. Potassium 40 is an isotope. It releases the positrons. The electrons, the negatively charged electron, if it is a positively charged electron, we call it as positron. Positrons are released from for example, the bananas release one positron every 75 minutes because there's the potassium isotope, and the humans release 200 positrons per hour, 60 minutes every hour. They release 200 positrons. It is a very its antimatter is around us, but we don't know the address of that place. That is another mystery. There, the entire antimatter is gone. The equal amount of matter that's produced by the universe, we don't know where it is. But it is around us. The antimatter sometimes it seeps into our world. So antimatter is 1 gram of antimatter. The cost of some people who are concerned about the cost, I can tell you it costs you $65 trillion to make a 1 gram of antimatter. CERN produces the antimatter. So the Hot Hadron Collider in France and Switzerland, that's a big hadron collider, a particle accelerator, produces antimatter, but they didn't produce 1 gram, but a minute amount. That's where they produce. We also produce antimatter someplace else in the positive particle accelerator, very minute quantities. I'll tell you about that. So 1 gram of antimatter costs about $65 trillion. So in all the budgets of all the world, we cannot afford it at this time. But small amounts of the antimatter we can produce. It stays there 17 minutes. Naturally, we can keep it that hanging in for 17 minutes. They transported 4 kilometers. In fact, the field in the future, it is going to be the future for the interstellar travel. Suppose there is a ship, you want to send a Alpha Centauri next star close to us. The only way you can do that fuel needed for that is antimatter. That's the only thing you can do that. You know, that's one of the ways they are exploring the antimatter field for universe. So, but what is the genesis of the whole story? Where I'm going? It's a war of gods. Albert Einstein is a very deterministic. Everything is clean cut. Everything in the world is all done. The reality is clean. Everything is. So he said that God does not play dice. There is no games. God does not play games. So that's what he said. In his special theory of he produced one of the mind-boggling paper. One of the genius papers is called a special theory of relativity. It is a physics of the particles moving in space and time. The particles moving in space and time. He gives a complete picture, particularly the speed of light. So, but I tell you, that's a deterministic way. All the particles are real. They're matter. Everything is clean cut. But in the quantum physics went through a different field. It is a So quantum physics says that it is not a particle anymore. Particles could be waves, and it could be wave and a particle both, or both. It can go switch back and forth. So it can behave like a particle sometimes. It can behave like a wave sometimes. So that is the Albert Einstein did not like it. So what he said was that was proposed by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, produced this quantum physics. They are the authors of the quantum physics. That's what they said. It is a particle and wave is indeterminacy. Sometimes it go back and forth. We don't know when they go back and forth. That's a free will. It's a free will. It is not a deterministic. It is a free will. That is not a. It did not go very well with Albert Einstein. He said that God does not play dice. It's not a free will. It's not something we're all predictable. The universe works in a clock mechanism. Everything is predictable. So that doesn't make any sense. But he used to say God does not play. Niels Bohr, they used to have a lot of discussions. War of gods. They are gods of physics. The Niels Bohr used to say, don't tell God what to do." That's what is come back at Albert Einstein. So that is a very funny thing, and they're friends. So they used to debate about that determinism and free will. But what is scientifically puzzling is special theory of relativity. The particles go in space and time in a relativistic the speed of light. That doesn't fit with the quantum physics, because quantum physics particles are waves. So waves and particles are, that behavior is conflicting each other. So when that war has to be fixed by through mathematics. There was a peacemaker came in. His name is He was a peacemaker. This gentleman, he produced a mind-boggling my equation. He produced that a peace between these two giants of physics. Special theory of relativity of particles and particle waves, that he said that we can combine both of them mathematically. That is, he came up with a genius equation. That is, his name is Paul. I cannot believe this. Why it is slowing down. His name is Paul Adrian. Sorry, the center of Silicon Valley. The internet is also slow. Very strange. So His name is Paul Adrian Maurice Dirac. He was born in England, in Bristol, England. He was a Paul Adrian Maurice Dirac. He has a long last name like my name. He has a My name is Annam Raju Venkata Ramana Rao, something like that. He has a nobody calls me with the name. But he was born in 1902 in Bristol, England. He's a genius candidate. He knows Florence Nightingale and all those things. So, but he was a genius. He produced an equation that is a mind-boggling equation at the age of 26. Equation that changed the world. It's called a Dirac equation. It's outside of the physicists. The people don't know about this equation, but this equation changed the medical field itself. It has a mass of the electrons. He gave a new equation. Is a psi is a wave function. I don't want to. I is imaginary complex. I don't want to go into the details of the equation, but the equation is a standard equation. It produces a mind-boggling. He gave a new idea of the nature around us. So equation that changed the world. That equation is a produced. That equation not only no one ever saw, imagined there is an antimatter exists. Dirac equation gave rise to matter and antimatter. He did not. So there is an anti-world of matter that exists. Antimatter exists. Our mirror images of us exist somewhere. That is not a that is was puzzling a lot of scientists. A lot of scientists did not believe. He himself had doubts about that. He kept it for 3 years under his desk before he published it. Finally, published it. There was a lot of skeptics, but he kept. But that was matter and antimatter. I told you is antimatter. Is the anti-proton is here. The anti-proton is here. Proton is in the middle. That is a proton and anti-proton. This is a so. But sorry about that. So what he did was this what you see in the mirror is not you. That's what he came up with it. This is a described by MC Escher diagram. Once the MC Escher diagram does that, is the mirror image of, when you take, there is a picture, MC Escher picture is a very popular picture here. Is a picture that what it does is the picture MC Escher is a fish up there. That fish, if you take that picture and you reverse it and you change the black fish to white fish and white fish to black fish, the picture is supposed to be same, but exactly not same. So we well demonstrated what these mirror images could be. When you take a mirror image of you, could be different. So the mirror in the person in the mirror could be different from than you are. That's what he proved. That is what the antimatter does. Is it called a CP violation, whatever. Then he came to experimental evidence. People, skeptics, he destroyed the skeptics. Carl Anderson from Caltech, he found out positron, antimatter. The positron, he introduced a particle in the Wilson chamber, is a cloud chamber. He found out the positron, the electron, positive and the negative of the electron, and they went through, they went back, they repulsed each other, and he saw in the cloud chamber, positron and electron, he showed both of them. That was a very experimental verification in 1932. For that, the Paul Dirac won the Nobel Prize in 1933 for his beautiful equation, physics of the antimatter. He won the equation, and he did a lot of things. Quantum field theory, he won the Nobel Prize in 1933. He was a genius, true genius. People don't know. Paul Dirac equation, there is no God. Dirac is his prophet. That's what the people say when he was kind of that kind of a guy. He say there is no God. Dirac is his prophet. It's a funny thing, but positron physics is created the birth of the PET CT scans. PET scans or the antimatter physics came at the birth of PET CT scan. That's what you see. So cancer detection, that's a gold standard. Cancer is growing in a big way. We have is a problem. The cancer is the number one enemy for us. The numbers are growing in unbelievable amounts. So we have to solve this problem. We have cancer detection, diagnosis, prognosis, and treatment. All of them are important. So cancer detection is so his detecting cancer. Gold standard is positron emission tomography is the gold standard in detecting cancer. So, how does it use it? In the positron emission tomography detection, positron is a positively charged particle, antimatter. Remember that. Positron emission tomography, positron is the antimatter. That's where the Dirac equations work. The mathematics of the Dirac equation is the fundamental genesis for this kind of process. Dirac equation gave rise to the PET CT scan. It can detect, staging, evaluating a treatment response, and planning a radiation therapy. All of them you could do because those equations are work very well. Mathematics behind it is beautiful. So what they do, they in the positron emission tomography, they give a radioactive sugar. It's called radioactive sugar. They inject in the body, and then what is that radioactive sugar looks like? It is called a FDG. Basically it's chemically is a chemical. Uh, it's a chemically absolutely equal to glucose. So body thinks it's a glucose, but there is a radio tracer. If you see the chemical structure of the both of them, there is a fluorine atom there in the middle. That's only difference. But chemically they act different. So the body thinks it's a glucose. So when you inject a FDG into the body, it travels into the body, so you can trace it. It's a radio transmitter. It has a radio transmitter. Trump is correct. We can inject the radio transmitters in the body. Trump says that, right? But this is a glucose. If we give glucose, the FDG is a contrast. You can inject it, and then it travels to the body. It can and also biofunctionally, the FDG attacks the cancer. Takes a lot of energy requires, so it concentrate FDG goes straight to the cancer cells. FDG off life 2 hours. So FDG has to be produced in a radioactive source. It has to be off life of 2 hours. Off life means if you take a 1 gram of FDG, it will disappear it decays in 2 hours half of it. We don't know which atoms go. That is a free will. That's quantum physics. We don't know which atoms to go away then in 2 hours, but we know half of the quantity will disappear. So every 2 hours, half of the quantity go further down, like that. Every 2 hours it goes down, infinitely small until the atomic structure disappears. So FDG is the radio source generator. Cyclotron produces the radioactive sources. Particle accelerators produce cyclotron. It's called cyclotron. It produces the radioactive source. Radio source generator. It produces it, and it is the. This is a. If you wanted to measure the inequalities of the health, you can measure here. Particle accelerators or to detect cancer, you need this PET CT scan. For the PET CT scan, you need the radioactive sources. Only cyclotron can produce the radioactive sources. United States has 150 cyclotrons. China has 130 for the 1.5 billion. India has only 19. So some of the countries in Africa has only 2 or 10, entire African continent. And South America is also 5 or 10. So this is a big problem. We are really the measurement of inequality of health. That's where it starts. That is we need to solve that problem. The cyclotrons are important to do the cancer detection. Otherwise, there is inequalities of health. They will exist. So the next one is. So hot lab, they use a hot lab, the radioisotopes to mix their radioisotopes. There is a control by, I used to sell these machines, PET CT scans and MRI, CT scans, all these mobile nuclear machines. I used to sell quite a bit of mobile nuclear medicine. These are all the trucks in the trailers. You can there is a hot lab. You can put a hot lab there. You can mix them. You got to be very careful. You're dealing with them. So there is a patch. There is a ring. You see that you can measure the exposure to the radioactive technicians. They got to be very careful about that. So that is one of the safety requirement is the hot labs produce these kind of things, radioisotopes, FDGs, and all of them produce it there. We do FDG, the mix there to produce that radioisotopes mixing. Physics of the isotope, physics of the positron for the nerdy guys have a conservation of momentum. What happens is when you give FDG, it goes to the brain. For example, if you are doing a brain scan for Alzheimer patients, what it does is it does go into the immediately it decays, right? That it gives you the radioisotope. It produces immediately that 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 produces the positron. When releases the positron, it immediately interacts with the electron and produces the gamma radiation PET detector, and there's a PET detector around it, and I will show you that one. It's electromagnetic radiation. Basically, all of them are electromagnetic radiation. Gamma rays are the high frequency radiation on the right spectrum, of the right end of the spectrum. You can use for detection. You can use for treatment also. Some of the gamma knives and all those things, they use it for gamma detection is on the right side. So high. These are all photons. Basically, photons frequency determines either gamma rays or X rays or alpha rays, or sorry, not alpha rays. Alpha rays are particles. But gamma rays, or or gamma rays or X rays or visible light, ultraviolet rays, determined by the frequency itself. Infrared rays, that all depends on the frequency. So the gamma rays are produced in the positron PET CT scan. How do they produce? When you put in there's a brain up here, suppose in the center, then when you give a FDG injection to them, what it produces, a positron interacts immediately with electron. The cancer, I told you, the cancer attracts a lot more positrons, a lot more FDG. It consumes a lot more glucose. The FDG radio tracers, because FDG simulates, FDG mimics the glucose. It goes to the cancer place of cancer, and then it produces immediately gamma rays and goes immediately produce two gamma radiations from there. It immediately, because angular momentum is follows the conservation of the angular momentum, it produces exactly opposite, exactly 180 degrees, produces the gamma rays, hits the gantry on the top. It hits the gantry on the top. Okay. Once you produce the gantry, that's where you detect, and you can tell what the diseases they have, that produces image. You can convert them into the visual spectrum, and all of them is a further detailed. But I'm giving you how that FDG works in the PET CT scan. So PET scanner functional images, you can see the glucose going inside. Actually, you can see the cancers. You can in the X-ray, you can see that PET CT scan produces the images. It's a stunning images produces. It's not only structural. Why we add a CT scan to PET gives you time symmetry. Is a dynamics. Is a time functional. It gives you high resolution in the functional side. It's a functional. You can see, while you are seeing that, you can see the movie of the how cancer is behaving. You can see actual movie. You're recording a movie of the cancer in action. So that PET CT scan, what it does, it's not only structure, but structure, it doesn't tell you exact location very clear. That's why we use both PET and CT together. With the PET CT combination, you can determine the location and the function of it, and the actual function of it. You can That's why now they have a CT, PET, and combine them together, PET CT. You can do PET functionality movie, precise location and shape and location, everything, size, shape, and location, all of them can be determined by PET CT scanner. It is one of the wonders of the physics. So PET versus SPECT, there is a lot of people know SPECT camera. That's a nuclear camera. That is a very one single photon does. Actually, you can get a Ray-Ban glasses if people wear. That's basically you're reducing you can produce actually single photons through Ray-Ban glasses. But that doesn't useful. Here is we need a crystal. They use a specialized crystal crystal iodes. They produce the PET is two gamma rays go exactly opposite each other. SPECT is only one gamma ray comes out, so that's it's a precise locations. Is not resolution is not that great, but PET CT is a resolution extraordinarily good. So SPECT is kind of a going out of business in that sense. It's a very cheap version of the PET. So you can detect the breast cancer with the PET CT. That's a very useful. That's one of the, not only you see the structure, the spider webs, which are indication for the cancer, but you can see the function of it, how it's growing, what is the growth, and is actually, you can see the movie of the cancer. PET CT, there is a heart, also PET CT can be used in the heart viability rate. A lot of people congestive heart failure, their hearts died, part of the heart is dead, muscles are not working. So the pathways, you can do myocardial uptake and you can do sodium potassium uptake. So they determine that way. Heart viability you can do through PET CT. But it's one of the FDG is good, but the FDG is the radio tracer is good, but they use also rubidium. Rubidium is a very good. That's much more faster and clear picture for the heart, because the heart is moving. So you need a little bit of a faster isotope you need. So rubidium they use. The rubidium accelerator, that's $30,000 per month, sir. That the rent on that, if we want to rent, that's a small mini particle accelerator that they have. That is a mini particle accelerator, $30,000 a month. Huh. So a lot of doctors, cardiologists use, so for the to detect the viability of the heart, what part of the heart is not functioning, they say. So Medicare pays $100 million study. They did Alzheimer's and PET CT, hearing loss, dementia. You can detect a lot of things we have an onslaught of neurological diseases with the baby boom generation. You can figure it out through. So there is a big push going on in the PET CT with the brains and studying of the Alzheimer's. So positron emission tomography, there is a PET CT. Now there is a new thing coming up, PET MRIs. They're all coming up. So there's a new wearable MRI. My friend Mary Lou Jespin, she's talking about wearable MRIs. That's going to be the future of the, probably do that. PET Explorer is a complete body PET scanner is coming up. UC Davis, they have a 560,000 individual detectors there. Think about that, guys. In the detectors, that is just a wonder of the medicine and technology and science. Higher metastasis, you can do the bright spots, you can do amazing resolution with the cancer's resolution you can get at the molecular and cellular level. Siemens has another program, high resolution research tomography, is they dedicated to brain scanner to detect of the Alzheimer diseases. They are coming up with the HRRT. That's this one. But there's another one coming up. This is just out of this universe. This is a beginning of the. This is the. Sorry. This is the, what is that's called, JPET. You don't even know. Jazilian PET tomography. It's a name of the town, Jazilian. I don't know where is that, in Sweden or someplace. It's a positronium. So before it hits the positron, it forms a small bond. With a small short time, it forms a bond. That bond can emit light. The resolution is going to be extraordinarily clean. This is take to the next level of imaging. In fact, they're producing, it's a very experimental stage. JPET is called, is a mind-boggling technology is coming to us. This is a positron. JPET is the positronium bondage, that what the Paul Dirac started it, that positron, before it hits the electron and annihilate itself, it forms a bond and they do a small dance. In that dance, it produces the light. That light you can capture and understand the spectrum of the cellular function of that cell. Much more cleaner. Before even indirectly getting it, you are getting one step before that, you are getting the images. It is going to be just a game changer once it comes in the commercial section. The Stanford PetNet AI, they are developing a Stanford PetNet. You can send the images there. You can read the images. PetNet is the AI that it's a network, the intelligence and medicine AI imaging. They can read the pet images and can come back with a diagnosis and the prognosis and the treatment options it can come. So Solvay conference, one of the geniuses of this started with Paul Dirac. Paul Dirac is a true genius. He is there among all the Jains. He was tallest guy. He used to talk six. He used to be talking 1 hour. They used to call him one minute one word. Oh, sorry, 1 hour 1 word. He used to talk very less. He is very famous for that. But he produced the humanity is woe to him. He produced the Solvay conference. He did that. It's one of the most brilliant scientists. So he got so many offers after he won the Nobel Prize. He could not. He was offered every physics lab in the country, but he did not come to anywhere. He went to Florida, University of Florida, because his daughter is there. He wants to work with his daughter. Anybody, that. So he went to University of Florida as a lecturer there. He was gave final lecture. He died in 1984, and he was as quiet as everybody else in the physics. He quietly died, and ceremoniously, nobody knows. It's a very small column came in New York Times, but he died very quiet, and as quietly he came. So these are the unsung heroes that I want to bring to the front page. He's called the Mozart of science, they call him. So on his tombstone, they put his equation. Paul Dirac equation was printed on his tombstone. That equation gave rise to the antimatter, physics of the antimatter. The most, I call it, that's my name, I did that, the most beautiful equation in medicine. That is my thing. Thank you for watching. It is truly an honor. And so buy my t-shirts. You can see that. You can, I'm going to play that t-shirts. And you have any questions? Let me bring my friend. Any questions after that? I play. I got only. Oh no, I don't have time today. I'm going to play this thing I have to play, and then just a minute, because already I've over the limit. I have to. Next time I will bring the Rastafa and ask him questions. Maybe I'll bring him one question quick. So how do you like it, Rastafa?
That was very good, very interesting, and we'll continue this another time. But I do want to ask the question of with the matter and antimatter. I'm wondering with the constant expansion of the universe, right? Is it that the antimatter is what's causing that expansion? But we can get into that in another
There is a lot
discussion.
of theories there. We don't even know. That is one of the theories that they have. But one of the theories is a lot of mystery there. But anyway, let me the I need to this play. And the final thing, thank you for all watching. I'm really honored. And buy a t-shirt of the Paul Dirac. Okay, thank you.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.